the business and GTM of Data Samudra. I come with more than 25 years of experience in the industry, and last 1.5 years, I'm working very closely with TeleIndia, and thanks to Mantesh and team for giving us an opportunity to be part of this transformation, which is happening now. And during the next 40 minutes, I will talk more about what is happening globally in data center industry, why we are looking to have a transformation. Is it because of the market dynamics? Is it because this new pandemic kind of situation has made it kind of a compulsion for all of us to look at new ways of working, which is actually true? Or is it more to do with economic balances? Because we are at a stage right now where on one side, we are definitely much concerned about the economic downturn because of this pandemic situation, which is for everyone. But at the same time, I think we see a silver line somewhere. As we say, there is always light at the end of a tunnel. And we do see some light that once this pandemic comes to a controlling situation, which might happen in 1 month, 2 months, we don't know, but at least we have started the journey. Once this happens, I think the whole transformation and digital disruption, which is now in 3.0, is going to definitely change how we are working today. That's already there. There's no option for that, right? So let's quickly look at what is changing. Now, there are certain things which has already changed. We have been talking about this for the last couple of years. The digital disruption, which started 15 years, 20 years back, and is now in its third phase, is not only changing the way we work, live, play, etc., but at the same time, it's forcing and compelling the change. One example I would like to start with. When we were going and talking to customers, maybe 10 years back, 11 years back, I used to work for Cisco and then Dell. We used to go to customers and say, you should have your processes converted to digital. You should adopt digital. You should be more digit savvy. Many of the customers, of course, because of their own reasons, were not really looking forward to that. I may not be like to name them, but there were a few very big giants, especially in India and developing nations, who felt that this change is something which is more a luxury kind of thing for us, and we may survive without this. Fine, okay. They survived for how long? For 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, or 10 years. That's it. Many of those organizations, many of those enterprises who failed to admire and appreciate the benefit and advantage of this digital flavor actually had a problem last 3 months, because since they were not prepared for this kind of pandemic, nobody was, but there were enterprises, there were companies, there were organizations who had already started adopting this. One school, which I have been working for last 7 to 8 years, I know they took hardly few hours to go online with their students, hardly few hours. But on the other side, there are many schools and maybe colleges and universities who are still finding it very difficult to conduct online because they were never doing that. And now, when the pandemic hit, they already failed the problem. So, one thing which is now proven, though it took a small force to prove this, it took a small force to make us realize that, you know what? Yes, digital is there and I have to transform, otherwise I am going to perish. So everything is changing. In last 10, 15 years, many things have changed, either intentionally, unintentionally, directly, indirectly, by option or by compulsion. But is that all? No. Three months back, we felt that there is enough digital around us. Many companies have already adopted, and we are fast moving towards 100% digital adoption. But last 3 months have actually shown us some more, new kind of dynamics which have come into place. Though we are digital, is it enough? Bandwidth everywhere, internet access to almost every other person in urban areas. Is it enough? And somewhere we felt, no, this is not enough. We need much faster, much agile, much dynamic, and much bigger data sizes to work on. And we need to look at how multiple organizations and enterprises, or both in public and private sector, are going to adopt these suiting to their own challenges, right? So when we say this transformation is already happening now, already happening in the sense in its third phase. Let's look at three examples to see what change this transformation is beginning, this digital disruption is beginning. Number one, very recently, this was in May last month, we came to know that in India, for the first time, we had more rural net users than urban. Well, till few months back, we all used to talk during conferences, webinars, or workshops that India has a very good penetration of internet and mobility in urban areas, or at least in tier 2 towns. But this news has changed the dynamics. Either it happened by compulsion or force, I don't know. But today we have more rural net users than urban. That's a fact today. Number two, I operate out of Dubai, and Etisalat, which is one of the biggest telecom operators in that region, they are now into IoT full-fledged. They are deploying IoT networks. They are deploying LoRa networks. They are talking to multiple devices, whether it is a water meter or electricity meter. They are no longer only focused on mobile phones, net connectivity, data, blah, blah, blah. Because they also realized that with all this digital disruption which is happening, we may not be able to move to next level if we continue to only focus on the age-old mobile, telephony, and data kind of revenues. Those revenues are going down day by day. Another example from another part of the world, Africa, which is, I will say, underdeveloped to some extent in many countries. In last 3 months, they have seen 22 projects, $18 billion launched, catering to every vertical, more importantly, around poverty, agriculture, society upliftment. And in all these projects, one common thread is it's being driven by technology. It's being driven by digital infrastructure and applications around. And then we were hit by this unknown, unexpected, and unbelievable pandemic, Corona. And last 3 months, we have actually realized that whatever transformation was happening till February 2020, that was not enough. We need to be more agile, we need to be more upfront, and we need to be more dynamic to handle these kind of situations as well. So today, when we go and talk to customers, we no longer here, I need this infrastructure piece, I need this data size, I need this storage, or I need this network. What customers are asking today, I need experience. I need to be in a situation that if another Corona kind of thing comes up tomorrow morning, I should be able to sustain my business. I should be able to see and make sure my people, whether they are at home, hotel, airport, or where are they should be able to work very, very effectively. So when we look at now Digital Disruption 3.0, we are looking to enhance that experience. We are looking to make sure that everything is at the click of a button, literally at the click of a button. So let's look at whether digital 1, 2 till 3 has really made some change. I always take this example because I felt this was one example which touches everyone around us. Banking in India. In 1980s, late 1980s, I used to be in my school. We used to go to bank for certain things. I used to fill up some forms. After 12th, I need to give some entrance examination. It's my personal experience. And I'm sure most of us would have done that. I used to go to a bank to create a draft of, say, $200, $100 to send to those institutions. And you have to go, stand in a queue, get a token, fill up a form, submit the form, submit your money, and then you are told, okay, come after 2:30, your draft will be ready. Almost whole day gone. Today, we don't go to banks. We don't make drafts. Every payment, at least what I have seen in my kids' schooling, education, billing, and everything is happening online through cards, through Paytms, through this, through that. Now, we felt that maybe this is more than enough. We have net banking, we have mobile banking, we have wallets, and we are all good. Then we are hit by a next phase of financial model, cryptocurrency. Till 3 months, 4 months back, it was not legal, it became. And believe me, the way this corona has impacted and where digital currency is being used, we should not be surprised in next 2 to 3 years maximum, cryptocurrency might become the most used currency format for any payments across us. It will happen. You mark my word for this. So that's where this whole experience is coming. No longer go to bank. Even banks have also changed their whole model. They don't open more branches now. Rather than they put more focus, more investment in creating those channels where people can easily integrate and interact with them. One thing we all have to appreciate, in last 3 months, whatever situation happened, one thing which kept us all alive is technology. Like this webinar we are doing today. Actually, when we were planning, I was discussing with Mantesh and the entire management team, how do we plan to launch data center whenever? So the idea was, few months back, the idea was, hey, we should have an event, we should call our future customers, partners, alliances, and we should have a physical event where it will all be good. But now we realize we can't do it now, but at least we are able to sustain that and do something through this technology. And that is one thing which has kept us alive in last 3 months. So coming to the summary of this whole digital disruption which is happening, I think one thing which has been proven, and you can see on this map, is the time taken to adopt digital, the time taken to move from 0 to 1 in digital adoption has reduced a lot. From 10 years it took for computers to become a mainstream technology in this country, to 4 years it took for us to adopt mobility. 1 year to 2 years it took us to adopt and have a mass technology like internet. And now we are looking at days and maximum weeks, not even months. So we have customers calling and saying, I want to move my on-premise to cloud. Can I do it in next 4 days? Are we ready to offer that kind of facility to our customers? Are we ready to talk to our customer who says, I want to move, but in next 7 months, one by one, and I want to pay accordingly what I use, what I pay. Or I want to have my thing hosted in your data center, but at my own capacity and at my own terms, which makes it easier for me to manage the whole things. I think that's where this whole transformation is leading us. 4 A's, which are going to now make it even more worse or better. The word I use, worse for people who are still thinking, better for people who have already decided. 4 A's, automation, analytics, artificial intelligence, and augmentative technologies pretty much are going to make this transformation even more real and much productive. And to do that, I'll take one example. This is a survey which Dell Technologies did, so I'm using that reference here, in 2016 and then followed in 2018. Look at within 2 years what changed. From close to around 19% who had already adopted or were leading digital revolution to 45%, 2.5x jump in 2 years. And from 15% organizations who were still thinking, shall I become digital, to only 1%. And this number will be zero today because no organization would definitely be thinking, shall I do it? Shall I not do it? There's no choice, no option. It has to be done. So this thing proves that the time taken for people to adopt any new technology today is actually becoming very fast. Are we able to match that speed when we offer services? So let's look at what is hitting us. Data usage in India growing by 73% CAGR. We are a huge population. This has to happen. It will even happen more in next couple of months. You will see because of two reasons. Because this corona impact would lead to more digital adoption, and this whole political and diplomatic issues which are happening with China's and other things might lead to using our own resources to a much vaster thing. So the data usage in India will be growing at CAGR of even more than 73%. India's internet traffic will be 104 petabytes per day. Imagine the kind of data we will have. Imagine the kind of resources we need to handle this kind of data or these kind of applications which are there. Look at the kind of applications we are producing today. 40,000 petabyte from 2010 to 2.3 million petabytes by 2020. Look at this number. And as I said, this will actually maybe a couple of X more because of what happened in last 3-4 months. And our own compliance laws like India Data Protection Law is going to come. We're waiting for it. Anytime it should hit us. Disha is already there, HIPAA is already there, GDPR is already there. All these things show us one simple thing: the need, demand, and requirement for data center space, hosting, and cloud is growing at a phenomenal pace. Microsoft's announcement in mid of April that their cloud business grew by staggering 775% in 2 months because of Corona. Everybody wanted to use their meetings, their this, that. Is itself a proven fact that this is real number. This is not just numbers from a report. This is really happening on the ground. So digital disruption has impacted us, is impacting us, and is going to impact us. We all know this. So there's no choice. We have to adopt digital. Every organization from large multinationals to small startups, they have to adopt this either by force or by passion or intentionally. They have to do it. Now, is this impacting our data center industry? 101% yes. New technologies, IoT, edge, AI, data analytics, they are changing the way data centers are accessed. They're changing the way data is moved between data center and edge. And with edge computing, fog computing, cloud computing, this is going to increase a lot. So that is why new data centers needs to be more agile, more dynamic, and more suited to meet these kind of demands. Number two, new concepts, reviewing data centers, more enhancements in data center speed and storage, virtual reality shows. You know, every customer who wants to host in a data center would like to see how can I go and see this. With Corona kind of thing, there might be possibilities that we may have to ask a customer, hey, better you don't come, but I am giving you a virtual reality kind of system. You sit in a place and come and see my data center space. Or new threats, new concerns what we have today: cryptojacking, ransomware, phishing attacks, drones. Why I'm putting drones as a threat? Of course, it has two coins. Drone is a great benefit to us, but at the same time, this increases our threat also. And same happens with robotics. Same happens with artificial intelligence. So if we look at all which is happening today around us, from new technologies to new concepts and ways of working to new threats, I think our data centers needs to adapt and make sure that they are ready for these kind of things. Data center transformation, which means changing the data center to improve overall functionality and performance to meet your customer demands and the demands for resources inside and outside of data center. That has to be agile, dynamic, on demand, on requirement, and flexible. That's what we know today. So what is changing now? Legacy data centers are no longer making sense. We had data center books, data center compliances, data center standards. They still remain, and we have to go through them, but they are also changing. Agile data centers are the call of the day, so legacy data centers doesn't make any sense. Key disruption to data centers is happening now with all this SDN talks we're talking about. We have been talking this for last many years, and the time has come now. Cloud is getting bigger. I think nobody has a doubt in that. Physical access getting slower and slower because nobody wants to travel and take a risk today. But sitting at home, can I maintain all my data center without even physical be there? Yes, 101%. smart buildings, smart data centers, smart air conditioning, smart power, smart utilities. Everything is happening all around us. Hyper convergence and hyperscale. These are driving the entire infrastructure industry today. And virtualization. It has already been a default in data centers. Why is this changing? I already mentioned data, 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 new technologies, new ways, new concepts, new threats, etc. So what is new? New is you need to have an agile data center which molds itself according to your customer needs. It has to be platform and technology agnostic. Yes, you can have customers ranging from a Windows environment to Linux environment to IBM environment to whatever. You can have customers asking for 1 petabyte of storage to immediately asking for 1,000 petabytes of storage within no time. Yes, we have to have these kind of processes and mechanisms to deal with. You need to have faster and greater return of investment. Absolutely. Every business owner wants to do that. It has to be integrated and smart. Whether you have air conditioning in the data center or power or your racks or your cabling or your networking or your maintenance team or your facilities team, everything and everybody has to work in tandem. And it has to be non-disruptive. Whether corona or tsunami or something, can we still manage to run our data centers in spite of all these things? That's exactly what is transforming in data center industry today. Multiple challenges, multiple data centers are facing in effective monitoring. That is where we use this common phrase that wastage of infrastructure. I've seen this wastage of infrastructure. When you buy 5 servers and have virtualization, you are able to effectively use 3 servers up to 90% of capacity. Your 2 servers are lying idle for next 8 months. You don't know when you're going to host there, but you have to pay for those 2 servers. Is it the really something we should do? No, you should pay only for assets and infrastructure and application what you use. Energy consumption has always been a big pain, but thankfully, with all these new smart, connected IoT kind of things, there is a lot of focus inside that. And we are now looking at data centers where you can save 20 to 30% energy from traditional data center. Sorry, can you mute, please? Uh, Multiple challenges. I'm not going to dwell detailed into this, but I think we pretty much all know this. How do we manage these challenges? How do we manage this risk now? How do we mitigate this? Of course, these new concepts: smart, agile, integrated, connected, automated, building automation, this automation, data protection, cloud orchestration, no lights, edge data center, mobile data center. There are multiple models available today depending upon customer need, customer requirement, and how markets wants the change to happen. And any data center which is not receptive to this kind of transformation, believe me, the days are very much numbered. So what are the differentiators we can use today in our data centers? And that is where I will lead to show you what we have tried to do. Space optimization. This is a big thing today. Can I use a data center where I had 150 racks? Can I use the same space to have more racks, which means more business? Absolutely yes. With new technologies, why not? Energy optimization, space spending between 8 to 10% lesser energy. It's the norm of the day. Resource optimize everything around data center, your air conditioning, your power, your utilities, everything. Can you optimize the use? Yes. And technology optimization, as you said, servers, virtualization, network, storage, everything in a data center can be optimized. And that is how you produce a transformed data center facility. And that leads me to showcase and show you what we are bringing forward. Data Samudra, the name itself, actually shows what we're trying to do. We're trying to cater a facility which can cater to a large number of customer requirements flexibly, on demand, and on requirement. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Data Samudra is the brand what Tele India has created, and this data center is situated very close to Bangalore International Airport. For people who don't know, let me repeat that. It's at KIADB IT Park, which is next to Bangalore International Airport. People who are in Bangalore, they will know this. And we have 100,000 square feet of facility being constructed. We're in the final stages. This corona has led to a small delay of interior fit out, but thanks that now we are back to business. And we plan to have this open in next 1.5 months of time. Data center capacity, we are pegging around 19,000 square feet, close to sitting around 350 plus racks. And it also will include a global network operations center so that we can manage, monitor, and maintain this data center 24/7. I'll show you some more features around it as we go. Data Samudra comes to you from Tele India. You already heard Mantesh. He's the managing director of Tele India. Tele India is a 2-decade-old telecom services company headquartered in Bangalore and a very strong telecom service provider, not only in India, but operations in Middle East and Africa as well. Tele India has a vast expertise when it comes to telecom, IT, and ICT processes in terms of technical resources and technical skills they have. Quality-wise, they are ISO 9001, Tele India is ISO 14001, and we boast of major clients across the world, right from Nokia to Ciena to Cisco to Vodafone and many more. So Tele India decided that we should have this data center, a transformed data center, and this journey began around 1 year back. And today we are almost at the edge of opening this data center, and that is why we're having this webinar today. So as I mentioned, this is the map. So people who live in Bangalore or who know Bangalore, they might know this, that this is just next to Bangalore International Airport. So that's a very strategic location. It's inside KIADB IT Park, which is one of the new vast and one of the bigger IT parks in Bangalore. In fact, this is next to the Aerocity, which is going to be a big aerospace park. So this whole area is itself a technology area. Okay, so we are setting up data center on the second floor of a 6th-floor building, which will have more than 350 racks, and it will conform to tier 3 certification from Uptime Institute when it gets completed. Being in India and focused on India is itself something which we all have to believe in, thanks to what we have seen in the last couple of months and what is happening all around us globally. I think one of the things we always pride ourselves to is to use as much as resources which are local, right? From the people, from material, from technologies. We're going to make sure that we adhere to local compliances, local standards, and local slogans like "Be vocal about local," and we are a strong proponent of that. So India Protection Bill, India Data Protection Bill, or Personal Data Bill, whatever we call it, we are going to make our data center be 100% compliant to that. What is Data Samudra going to offer? All the 3 flavors: co-location, hosting, and cloud. I'll cover these in a bit detail in next 5 minutes, but we are going to offer all the 3 flavors so that we don't leave any customer unsatisfied, because that's how a data center should be. Some of the key features and facilities we are going to provide: 19,000 square feet on the second floor. So we have taken all standards and compliances in picture in terms of whatever bad can happen to any data center located next to airport. Power wise, we have an N+1 DG configuration and N+N UPS. 2 good things I will talk in the next slide is we have access to all the best power resources what we can have in that area. We are able to provide average cabinet load from 5 to 15, or it can go up and down depending on customer requirement. We are using state-of-the-art cooling technology with smart aisles so that we don't really compromise somewhere on the requirements from a customer perspective. Of course, all the physical security trends, what you see today, CCTV, biometric, 5-level access control, alarm systems, and everything gets connected. By the way, the whole facility will be integrated and connected as a smart facility, so everything comes back to a common place. Smart aisle rack capacity, I mentioned 350 plus. We are putting the best of passive and best of networking, including opting for IP license, IP1 license to take care of certain customer demands, SDN, scalable networks, vendor agnostic, of course, and all other things what a typical data center should have is there. We expect to have it ISO 27000 certified once this data center opens, then have all possible technology layers, whether it is border, parameter, traffic, data encryption end to end, or point-to-point security. And then we are putting a global NOC on the next floor so that not only it caters to the data center maintenance and uplift, but to all the customers who host in the data center or who put their very what I call valuable data and application in the data center. We are here to provide them 24/7 round the clock monitoring facility. Some great advantages, as I mentioned, being next to an airport itself, but 900 meters from the major power substation, which means we can draw power as fast as we can. Two substations availability around, so we are able to confirm to the compliances, bringing power from two different sites, from two different routes. Up to 4 megawatt is available, which means we can scale this data center. We have 3 fiber lines to meet all the internet and bandwidth demands, and we have an in-house GNOC. I will not talk much about technology right now because not everybody would like to understand that, but our architecture is based on whatever is the best possible architecture we can think of today. And rack layout is optimized to customer requirements as and when customer wants to have. As I said, we are on demand, on requirement, and flexible, which I'm going to define what it means by that. So key offerings under co-location, we're going to offer space as a service, what we call white label space, raw space. If customer wants, yes, why not? Customer wants 1 rack, 10 rack, 100 racks. Customer wants half rack, 2 use, 5 use, 7 use, or customer wants a private suite of racks, or customer wants sub cabinets. Any possible configuration can be made available. On the hosting side, private hosting, infrastructure as a service, DR as a service, compute as a service, storage as a service, you name it, you have it. Hosting as per customer requirements. And one interesting service, data residency as a service. I'll explain you what it means by this. Cloud, hybrid, private, public, SaaS, PaaS, you name, you have it. As I said in the beginning, we are a flexible, on demand, on requirement data center. Customer is the king, and we are very much in line with that thought. So if customer comes to us, says, I need 1 rack today, 3 months later, I need 5 racks, 7 months later, I will need 10 racks. Of course, we are here to meet those requirements. Data residency as a service, I would like to talk a bit because this is something, a new innovation in India. Why India? Because India is very soon going to execute their own data protection law. Till now, the law is not in execution, but we expect to have it as soon as possible. In India, we are conforming to all the global laws like GDPR or HIPAA, but we are going to have our own data protection law. And that makes it important that any company which has citizen data, personal data of Indians need to have that data locally stored. Data localization is the key here. So if that happens, all those companies who are here and have data center can conform to that. But that number is very small, mainly medium and big size companies. What about all the small companies, startups, and companies who are not present in India, but they offer their services to Indians? That means they have Indian citizens' private data or personal data. If they have to confirm, they will need a data center which is more secure, more reliable, and as per their requirements. And that is what we mean by data residency as a service. Whether company is in South America, North America, Africa, China, Japan, Australia, they can actually be compliant to data localization laws when they come to us. And we are here to make sure that they have all those compliances met when they keep their data in our data center. So that's a key thing. The second thing is disaster recovery, because we all know this is going to be a big demand now because of all this corona things, that if I'm not able to reach out to my data center, if I have a problem with my data center, can I have my disaster recovery immediately up? Can I have my backup there so that I confirm I still have my business running? So when we look at that, we all know that disaster recovery has three different aspects, which is hot, warm, and cold. We are here to offer all the three services. Customer can expect to have basic infrastructure in our data center, and whenever he wants to shift his load, he can do it. We are happy to provide that service. Or a customer who wants to have everything built in one go, which we call hot data center, full infrastructure, full application, and can use it only when there is a problem. We are ready to provide that kind of hot DR site. Or cold DR, where he can just have few racks and maybe passive servers, and only comes to data center whenever there is a problem with this primary data center. Yes, you can have it. So what it gives to customer: number one, 24/7 location access, consulting and design services, because as I mentioned, Tele India comes with 2 decades of experience and expertise in this area. Then high speed bandwidth, because we have all the best possible fiber links, flexible level of DR, hot, cold, warm, and on-site and off-site manpower operation. You need us to manage your data center, happily doing it. You need us, our DR, our GNOC to provide services. Yes, we are more than happy to do it. You need your own resources to come and sit here for making, for maintaining their application. Say you need 2 seats, 3 seats along with your hosting needs. Yes, we are able to provide that. So coming to this slogan which we have, or statement which we make, saying flexible, on demand, on requirement. So typically what happens, we all know that if I need to host my website, let me give you this example. That's the basic level of hosting I should talk about. I have a website, I want to host my website. I go to GoDaddy, I go to Hotstar, I go to any data center, and I pay and I start hosting. Now, when I have to pay, that's where I see a small challenge. So I have a website for which I need this kind of storage, this kind of virtual server, this kind of CPU requirement, and I don't want to pay extra. I need very basic. When I go to any of the big global hosting data centers, I am shown multiple packages. Say for hosting my website, I will see 5 packages. Package one, it will give you one server with virtual CPU, with virtualized machine. You will get this kind of security. You'll get this kind of uptime. You'll get this kind of blah 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 power requirement, etc., etc. Package number two, package number three. I am supposed to choose from among those 5, right? You check it. You go to any data center. They'll give you packages. You choose the package. You start. What if, as a customer, I go to a data center and say, I want something from package A, something from package B, and something from package D. I don't want this thing from package A, this thing from package B. Very difficult and almost impossible, because they have a package, you have to choose a package, right? Now, what I mean by on demand, on requirement, flexible is that I should be able to cater to customer for his needs according to the scale, according to the roadmap he has. He can come today and say, I need one server with this kind of CPU, this kind of storage, and this kind of bandwidth. In 3 days, he feels his load is increasing. He says, you know what, I want to upgrade this immediately. Or I don't want to pay unnecessarily for extra storage. I want to pay only for the storage I use, something like that. So we are making it sure to the best possible extent that we will be able to meet those flexible and on requirement demands. We should be able to tell our customers, you know what, you want A, I'll give you A. You want B, I'll give you B. To whatever best possible, when I say whatever best, because there might be certain things from a legal or standard or compliance perspective, which may not be possible. Except those, we are here to make sure that we offer a on-demand, on required, as required, and as flexible service to our customers, so that they have no infra waste, they have higher ROI, low TCO, and they pay only for the things what they are using today. So when I say this, let me give you a small glimpse of 5 minutes on what GNOC is going to do. So for every data center, Whether you have a service inside the data center, you can have service outside the data center. Network operating center or global network operating centers are very critical to manage uptime, availability, and round the clock operations. So one great advantage of Data Samudra is that it's coming up with a big GNOC facility within the same building on one floor next to it. And this GNOC is going to offer multiple services, whether you have one server hosting, 10 servers hosting, you have a private cloud, you have a public cloud, you have just rack hosting, you want only core utilities to be monitored, or you want to have a complex hosting environment and manage all that 24/7. GNOC is there with all the facilities and qualified resources, which I shown in the beginning, to our customers. 4-level security, the best of the processes like ITIL, career neutral, using latest tool sets, and an agile way of working. That's a key in all of our offerings, basically. So GNOC, as I mentioned, it has got all the best infrastructure which any best data center could hope to have, which includes the best of bandwidth, the best of processes, the best of resources, the best of skills, and best of infrastructure. This GNOC will cater to not only to Data Samudra's hosting and cloud customers, but also to customers outside, because this is a large facility and we're going to scale it up to best possible. I already talked about what we have in this data center, in this GNOC. 24/7 by 365 services. Of course, this is the minimum thing, and providing and monitoring all kind of assets, whether they are IT assets, they are OT assets, they are building assets, or they are high-level infrastructure and application assets. We are there to cater to all of them. It comes with its own SLA commitments, which customers will have, of course, and all the best of the tools, right from raising complaints to managing the entire service flow, help desk, service desk, communication technologies, collaboration technologies, so that customers are able to reach out and have the best of services whenever they want. So in summary, when we talk of our capabilities in terms of expertise, in terms of end-to-end services from hosting, cloud, raw space as a service to GNOC, and right size, as I believe which one size doesn't fit all, giving you as per your requirement, as per your demand, and as and when you require those services. That's what our motto is. Our target base is right from startups to large enterprises. We have a flavor for everyone. Startups, because they have data, they want cheaper hosting, they want to host their newly developed applications or platforms, to large enterprises who want to host their critical applications, or who want DC-DR at this data center, or fintech and mid-sized companies who need more to do with compliance, who need more to do with standards in place and legal affiliations in place. We are here to provide services to everyone. We have a 3E strategy to meet our customer demands, which is educate, enable, and engage. Right now, we are in education phase. That's why this webinar, we are reaching out and telling all our customers, partners, and alliances what we have to offer. And next month, that's July and August, we'll be moving to enable and engage phase, enable our partners, our resources, our alliances to provide these kind of services very effectively. And once the data center opens in August, we are there to host you immediately. We have a very strong core team behind it. As I mentioned, the whole Tele-India and Data Samudra is led by Mr. Mantesh, and Mr. Arvind is the executive director. He's also on the call now. I'll be taking care of all the business formalities here, and my team, which includes Saurabh, RP, and Shubham, to begin with, they are started catering to local and national customers. We will soon be scaling our team as and when we progress. And then a strong marketing plan, because we don't want our customers to just feel that we are one of the other data centers. We have a very strong business acumen and very strong business objective to achieve, for not for us, but for our partners and our customers alike. So you will see lot of these assets, these promotions, and we'll be launching a promotion also very soon on to social media and to different PR channels as well. We are building a strong ecosystem. Some of them is already there. As I mentioned, Mercado is the global GTM partner for Data Samudra. GoKadal, which is world's first digital solutions exchange, is going to have Data Samudra globally positioned. GoKadal is based in Dubai. And then we have these partners we are talking to, so that we have hosting, we have security, we have go-to-market, and we have all the possible channels available to us to reach out to our customers and make sure our customers has the best as and when we require and with much better speed than they could expect. To reach us, you have the phone numbers, you have different websites you can reach us through, and different email IDs. We are on all the 3 social channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and we are located next to Bangalore International Airport. This is the address there. That's all from my side as far as Data Samudra and GNOC service offerings are concerned. We will open to questions after 5 minutes as we complete the next section. So let me now move to what has been our journey and what do we look forward in future. So I would like to invite Mr. Gautam Putana, Vice President, Submarine and International Business of Tele India Network, to share with us and everybody here on what they thought of when they went into setting up Data Samudra and what is the journey they want to take it to the next future. Mr. Gautam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ravindra Pal. It was a great explanation. Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. I would be talking about Tele India Group companies, what was the journey and what is beyond. So Tele India Group companies began its journey with a vision of being a major provider of engineering services to telecom equipment manufacturers and service providers. In specific, the company Tele India Networks Private Limited, the beginning for the Tele India Group companies. Tele India Networks was founded in 2006 in Bangalore, Karnataka, India, in the telecom vertical as a service provider business unit with proven expertise, quality standards, and efficient delivery processes, making it a reliable partner for a new digital age, reshaping the future of people, nations, and businesses. As Mr. Arvind Muthappa, Executive Director, Tele India Group Companies, talking about Tele India Networks, said, the company was started with an aim to provide for its customers, OEMs, and service providers services bundled as a package and a concept, which targets achieving maximum value by way of end-to-end services, along with application of the best-of-breed telecom practices in a manner consistent with its purpose or design. As a process, smart employees, constant evaluation, lean process to achieve more with less, which has culminated into the Tele India way. Tele India's strong technical expertise in multiple networking domains and technologies help to provide best-in-class end-to-end services to its clients. The firm's global delivery model helps in achieving all of its goals while offering the benefits of lowered risk and increased productivity. Also, Tele India is the only vendor in India trained for submarine network integration. Tele India partners with great masters of the OEM communities, Ciena, Cisco, Nokia, Adva, ASN, FiberHome, Ribbon, Vodafone. This is just to name a few. And the service providers like Reliance, Bharti, Bhutan Telecom, Etisalat, L&T, and many more. The firm set out with wireless equipment installation and gradually diversified its services into new areas like commissioning, testing, network integration, operation maintenance, as well as into newer domains, optical, IP, enterprises. Additionally, in providing consultancy and as an OEM equipment reseller, not only into newer domains, but also expanded the business by establishing offices in UAE, serving the needs in the Middle East, and Singapore, serving the needs in Asia Pac. Briefly talking about certifications, ISO 9001:2015 for quality management and ISO 45000:2018 for occupational health and safety management standards. India has applied these ideas, processes, and procedures into actions, has maintained it all through the years to excel in customer satisfaction and service preservation. India Networks is an ISO certified company. The other certifications are EcoVadis. This is a corporate social responsibility and business sustainability evaluator. Rated India as silver for India's integration of the principles of sustainability intelligence and CSR into business and management systems practices. The other one is about rapid ratings. This is all to do with the financial health analysis, a gateway to a company's underlying strengths and weaknesses, has assigned 95 of 100. What is the mantra for India's consistent and sustained growth? Passion. Passion to challenge the usual. Determination. Determination to raise above the normal. And commitment. Good enough is never good enough. All of these achieved by collaboration with business experts and clients, constantly evaluating its solution and services. In addition, India's way to achieve more with less is more. The company ensures that smart people with lean process and true innovation bring more with less by improvising the systems and processes to deliver more value efficiently and with fewer resources. With more than 900 professionals working across India, UAE, and Singapore, India serves clients and end customers in India, most of Asia Pac, including Japan and China, and Europe regions. India's suite of deployment services cover every aspect from field engineering, project engineering, equipment installation, configuration, traffic integration, test and turn-up, and cutover. In addition to these key service areas, India provides project management as a service. Initiate, plan, execute, control, and close. To drive the schedules and budget, resolve performance issues as they occur, as well in solving tough technical and logistical challenges. Additionally, localizing resources and establishing trained partners everywhere allows India to be virtually available anywhere in each region. India is now ready to expand its business. A new campus established closer to Bangalore's International Airport with the plethora of 15 years experience in the field of system integration. Additionally, integrating within this campus with newer dimensions, ODC and testing lab facility, training center, mentoring for the new startups, GNOC, data center, one-stop solution. Before we go on to the main agenda, that was on the data center, India Group company's new venture, Data Samudra, with the tagline Flexi Data Center Solutions. Mr. Mahantesh K, Managing Director, on the occasion of the launch of its new subsidiary, said, "This is a great moment. This is a synergy, a comprehensive one-stop solution for all needs. Total telecom solutions through networking, that's in India Networks, Flexi Data Center Solution, storage, colo, hosting, and cloud. That's the Data Samudra. Network monitoring to analytics. That's the global NOC. This is all for the enhancement of the customer experience, the synergy, which directly influences customer benefits like improving time to market, enhancing predictability and reliability while cutting costs. We are confident to achieve our goal on new business. This is in a nutshell the journey and beyond of Teleindia Group companies. Wishing the state of the art offering Data Samudra, the happening of 2020s, the very best. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Ravinder.
Thanks, Mr. Gautam, and thank you. Thanks a lot. So this was a good update, and I think this gels down with what I just mentioned about Data Samudra's uh, strategic importance and strategic alignment to what Teleindia has been doing, both in terms of India market and global market. As I mentioned, though our primary focus being in India is definitely India market, but with localization, with compliance, and with the globalization, what's happening around us, Data Samudra is going to be a key offering for customers across the world, especially those who have business interests or services offered in India. Now, when I say this, one of the things which we talked about is on the cloud side. We're also looking at and we'll definitely share more insights when we are close to that, is offering a lot of these cloud services to our customers, both India and outside, through this data center, which are built on this digital disruption 3.0, as I mentioned, those 4 A's. So services like blockchain, which is going to be a next big thing everywhere, or services around smart cities, for example, in countries like India, or utilities, or healthcare, which is a key thing today. So all these digital flavors of all these utilities and verticals, we're going to also create more vertical focused multiple clouds in this data center, along with our partners, our alliances, and our peer, our customers, so that not only we are here to offer the infrastructure or core for hosting, but also offer application as a service or software as a service models in time to come. This is the vision for us, all of us here. And with this vision, I would like to definitely thank all of you taking your time to join us today, this afternoon. Good thing is virtually we are connected. We would have loved to do it physically and meet all of you in person. I hope we will do it as and when time permits us to do it. Don't know when, but definitely yes. So now I would ask Aviral to take back, and let's go through certain questions which our audience might have. Aviral, back to you.
Thank you, sir. So as I can see in the chat window, Mr. Prashant has a question for us. Is Data Samudra's DC based on the HCI platform? I would like you to take it up, sir.
Yes. So as I mentioned, the hyperconvergence and hyperscaling is core to what we are building. Now, as I say this, I also said that our data center is offering what customer wants. Customers today want HCI loads. Yes. Customer wants hyperscale. Yes. Customers want SDN kind of environment. Yes. We will be offering what the best for the industry, for best for the market, and best for the customer. Absolutely.
I would now open the floor to the question answer session. I request every one of you who has some question to kindly unmute themselves and ask the question directly.
Okay, I can see one question from Sanjay Kumar Mahana around AI ops, DevOps, DevOps are being integrated. See, today when we talk of everything in a data center, and when I say data center, it means every aspect of data. So not only the hosting part of it, the infrastructure part of it, but also the core part of it, which is power, air conditioning, the building itself, the lifts there, the generators there, everything around it. One thing what we are looking forward to and making sure is that we have an integrated approach, which means the building itself is responsive to the needs of of our customers. The building itself is there to alert us if there's a problem, right? With all the smart automation features, smart building features, and new technologies like artificial intelligence and DevOps kind of environments are actually transforming what we should offer to our customers. That's what I said in the beginning. So we are open to adapt and be flexible to our customer requirements with the current traditional loads what data centers have to the emerging loads what we have in private, hybrid, or public cloud, to the more advanced loads which will come from blockchain, AI, and edge analytic kind of models. We are here to cater to all the three aspects of business. Absolutely.
As we are now open for the questions, I would request you to kindly read out your questions through unmuting yourself on the mic. Though I can see a question from Mr. Don. The question is, the concept of roving data center is new. Can you explain it further? The concept of roving data centers.
Yeah, I'll take this question, Aviral. Yes, I think it is. It is also possible to have the dedicated racks and other things for even SP side, and as well as on the GNOC monitoring stuff.
Another question I can see in the chat window is, can we refer to Data Samudra for telcos recently, as they are using SNOC and GNOC facility for alarms monitoring?
Yes, as it's built out with the new premise, I think we can able to do that.
I have a question. This is Sanjay Desai. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Sanjay,
Yes,
please go
please
ahead.
carry on.
Yeah. So what is the difference between the data center which is by the AWS and the Data Samudra? How is the difference between the Amazon data center at Mumbai and the data center at the Data Samudra in Bangalore? What is the difference? And how many do you have any like Amazon have the region wise? Okay. So do you have any other region apart from the Bangalore? Or is the first region for the data center?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I had dropped. Accidentally, my audio got dropped. I'm sorry. There were 2-3 questions I missed. So the question I just heard something like Amazon data center, right? That's what you're asking. Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely yes. Amazon has data centers across the world, and they are very big in that. And definitely we acknowledge that. We are. This is for us. This is the first one. Not the last one, of course, the first one from Bangalore. And we will also be catering to multiple geographies, regions as we go along and as we grow. But if you ask me now, what is the difference? See, every company has its own distinct USPs. Amazon is more oriented towards what I call a cloud data center, which is you can host your applications there, you can host your websites there, you can host your data there. Absolutely. Whereas Data Samudra is catering to what customer's requirement is, and customer requirement can be anything from giving him a rack to multiple racks, to only space, to the hosting, to cloud, and that to private cloud or public cloud or anything. So somewhere, yes, there might be definitely a competitive balance between us and Amazon in time to come, where when it comes to cloud part of this, when it comes to the bare raw space, frankly, I have not heard that AWS is offering bare raw space in their data centers. They're more catering to cloud. But yes, we have our own USPs, and as I said, own distinct differentiators to cater to. And more importantly, we are based in India, catering to India, and we will be making sure that we comply to all the local laws as well.
And coming to the age, do you have any age over, because now we are migrating from the cloud towards the edge. So we have any future, we have integrated in this data center the edge,
Yes, yeah. I already mentioned in the beginning, edge analytics, fog computing is a key to future of transformation. And we work with leading business teams. We will not be able to name all of them right now, but global OEMs who are very strong in fog computing and edge computing. And we are here to make sure that you have all the latest and future coming technologies available in this data center.
Thank you.
Sorry, if I missed any question, Aviral, I had a problem with my mute earlier. So
Yes,
did I
sir. There is
there
another
anything?
question in the.
Hi, sir. This is Chetan here. I have a quick question regards to the smaller and the bigger aspect of data center. Like it starts from this hosting space to hosting a website, or from rack space to rack units, etc. But the smallest of smallest, how about the different financials how we are charging, because most of us will be targeting like hosting a website or something like that. So the charges are decided yet, or it will be like
No. Yeah. So as I said, our mantra is on demand, on flexible. So you have to tell me what your requirement is. I'll be able to give you a price for that. But believe me, we are not shying away from small to small. You want to host your website, we are able to help you with that as well.
so? Thank you.
Okay. I think
Sir, I see another question from.
I think Mantesh has already answered that. Okay, fine. Regarding
So I
Europe
see another.
GDPR, what will be India GDPR will own
add
the. Yeah,
to
I
add
saw
a
this question.
telcos requirements from that. See, normally what happens, the telcos would be require their network elements to have it in the data center. So mainly that they would take the full control as part of the security and dedicated fiber and other stuff. So they would be requiring the rack space and the power. So that's possible. So being we also having experience from the telco side. So we are arranging a separate segment and one of the portion of the data samudra to give them the specific requirements for telco to host their network elements or probably whatever they needs it. So it is possible and it's in our agenda.
Sure. There's another question which talks about METI certification. Yes, as once we open the data center, as I said, it's opening in August. We will be catering to all the 3 different levels what compliance and standard and certifications required. One is on the data center core itself, which is that's where you have uptime certification, tier 3 certification. The second part is around data security. So there is ISO 27000 and other important certifications around the globe. And most importantly, the compliance, which is India Data Protection Law. And till now, the GDPR, India Data Protection Law is more like a GDPR for India. So yes, we are going to cater to that. And last but not least, the Government of India's requirements, which is like METI certification or Meghraj. You all know that's a scheme by Government of India to have cloud data centers and put Government of India and ministries and departments cater to that. We would definitely like to do that. It can only happen after we open the data center. And one more question I see, because we are just short of time, but there are 2 more questions. Any particular PUE value? Yeah, we are, as per the certification part, 1.7 to 1.5 to 2 PUE value. We are targeting to make it as best as possible. Whatever is the standard, we will definitely be complying to that. And this will reflect when we go for certification once the data center opens. Will you take education institution? Yes, why not? I said in the beginning, I was showing that one chart where who are our target customers. We are catering to all sort of customers. We will not say that we'll cater to only enterprise or banking. So if you look at this, we are here to work with any type of customers, be it startups, because they are going to have a requirement of data hosting, especially when it comes to compliance. Then MSMEs, then mid-size companies, mostly around fintech, BFSI, commercial customers, that's where education, manufacturing, oil and gas, the utilities will come in. And finally, the enterprise, large customers like big banks, big organizations of the world. Our focus is on everybody on every side, as I mentioned in the beginning. So yes, for education institutions, why not? Definitely. I think Aviral, if we don't have many questions, then let's summarize this and tell them what we are going to do after this. We're going to send this details to them.
Yes, after this presentation gets over, we will be sending the presentation link to all of you who are present in this webinar. And I would like to thank all of you on behalf of ourselves for joining this webinar and taking time to join us out of your schedules. We'll be sending the link to this presentation in a short while. All of you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Have a good time and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, team. Thank you.